Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, before the summer blockbusters come on out, it seems the movies are worse. A ray of hope. My colleague Eric Sprouse is doing a show called We Love Movies, where he shills for the big studios and what have you. And he's doing a new episode this month all about the summer blockbuster. So, if you want to get involved in all that interweb hype before the movies are released, check out his show. It's seen right here on BP TV. As for us, well, we do deep dives into these films and explore why or why not they may be worth your time and money. And we'll do that as cinematic class is about to begin, and your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. Before we go a step further, I'd like to thank our sponsors for tonight's show. That'll be House of Fairuza Barbershop, located at the corner of South Park Road and Drake Road, and of course the Three Rivers Comic-Con coming June 6th and 7th at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. We will have more info on those two sponsors later on in the show. You know, your entertainment dollars are really, really hard to come by. And as I said in the teaser intro, try my best not to give you any studio hype or certainly any free publicity for the studios here. I'd like you to know which movies you should spend your hard-earned entertainment dollars on if you're going to the box office. That's money, but I also like to keep you abreast of your time well spent by covering a lot of the movies that are on the streamers as well. So let's get started with our first, shall we? This movie is called Didn't Die, and it is now currently available on most streamers. You know, a lot of movies, nowadays anyway, infuse an awful lot of propaganda into their themes. This one is no exception. It turns out to be a cheerleader for Indian culture. I got a caveat there, not American native Indians, but Indians. Okay. Now there certainly is a token white woman in this cast, but she's pretty much a Looney Tune, so there's your statement, I guess. It's set in the not too distant future, and there's a young podcaster named Vanita. She is played by Kiran Deol. And basically her character shows that even if you're Indian and you're Gen Z, you're pretty much as shallow as all the other Gen Zs out there. She has a podcast. Her podcast is drastically losing numbers, and she starts resorting to, well, rather bizarre methods to increase the numbers of her podcast, despite the fact that there is a zombie apocalypse underway. Now, to compound issues, these zombies are really special. They only hunt at night, kind of like Vincent Price in The Last Man on Earth, I guess. But they seem to be mutating now. They're becoming faster, they're becoming smarter, and they're able to go out and hunt in daylight. And then, to further complicate matters, her ex-boyfriend shows up, and he has a baby with him. He saved this baby from a zombie attack in the daylight. Frankly, he returns to her because he doesn't know what to do with the baby. Now, Vanita's family is not happy when this guy shows up. First off, he's white, and they don't like that. And secondly, he shows up with a white baby, so they don't want him and them near her. Okay, so we're getting all kind of multicultural conflicts in this thing, and the land of the Walking Dead almost turns into a subplot on this. Kieran Dio, as I said, is Vanita. She is typically a stand-up comic, so her transition from comedy to this wasn't too bad. George Basil plays Vincent. He's the boyfriend that's caught in a conundrum with a baby. Samrit Chakrabarti plays Hari. He's very big in various Islamic movements and activities and what have you. So this is a foray into film for him. Vishal Vijayakurmar, I hope I said that right, plays Rish. The cast and crew is inundated with Indians, and yet this film is attempting to be passed off as Americans. I guess it would be akin to me making a movie and only hiring Italians to be cast and crew, I guess. Before this gets sillier, I think it's time we peel back the veils of time and head back to the early Cretaceous period and check in with the nation's first and only prehistoric film critic, Rex Rio.
Mira Mignon, director-writer of this movie, shoots Didn't Die in black and white as a homage to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Pittsburgh is even mentioned in the dialogue. While the film attempts to raise Gen Z on a social pedestal, there is a permeating bias of Indian culture. Mira shot the film with only a 40-page script, equal to 40 minutes of film, not even half its length, and improvised the rest. It shows, though she somehow feels it is a feat worth bragging about.
I really thought I would be ripped if I was going to be in a doomsday situation. It's like I can't even do a push-up. A lot of you have lost a lot of stuff, but like, where are the hot people at? Less biters, more orgies, you know? Little talked about problem. Vincent, is this how you're living?
I'm just trying my best, and this is it.
I don't like him, and he shouldn't be here.
Vin!
Come on, let's go.
You've had a gun this whole time?
I could interview you.
Did you just have a good idea?
Are you okay?
Sometimes I find myself saying the words so many times until they lose all meaning. Didn't die, didn't die, didn't die, didn't die. And eventually it just becomes, didn't I? You should listen to my podcast. You would feel
I do listen to your podcast. Why do you keep calling it a podcast? It's on the radio.
Well, I warned you in the teaser that these movies were getting worse just before the summer blockbusters come out, and I got another one for you. This one is called Nesting. You know, let's talk a little bit about the French, because this is a French film. Remember, the French actually put Jean-Luc Godard on a pedestal and thought he was an excellent filmmaker. That's all you need to know. Occasionally, Luc Besson comes out and he does a most noble job. Otherwise, here we go. The director and writer of this movie called Nesting is Chloe Cinq-Mars. She's nowhere near Besson, and she's far from Godard as well. But this movie apparently is striking a chord somewhere because it won the Fantasia Award last year, the Soho Horror Film last year, and the Vancouver International and Calgary International Film Festivals last year. They're all up in Canada. Maybe that's an editorial on its own, but it is being recognized. It follows Penelope. Penelope is played by Rose-Marie Perrault. She is a new mother. She's struggling very much with postpartum depression, and not so long ago, she lost her sister. So the death of the sister plus having a new baby is kind of wearing in on her. The movie actually makes the argument that childbirth can cause brain damage. Now, I've heard all the wives' tales about baby brain, what they call baby brain, but this movie seems to harp on it. And you know, it was only a few short months ago I did a review on a film called I Live Here Now, and this movie had the same thing. Now, the PR for Nesting says that it is a movie that will revoke memories of Rosemary's Baby and Mother. No, it doesn't. It doesn't even come close. This movie is going to have a very special opening night. This is going to happen at the end of May, just before Memorial Day weekend. On May 26th, they've made an agreement with the Alamo Draft House. And, you know, those folks are doing a real good job in trying to present movies in an interesting way and a big show. Sometimes the tickets are a little pricey. I mean, for some of the bigger movies, like, you know, Dune 3 or what have you, it can cost $50 to get in just to see the place. But they do it up nice with all kind of things going on, food, drink, and what have you. And this received one of those fancy nights for the premiere. Now, Perot, let me give you the cast in this first. Basically, it's a three-person cast. I told you Perot plays Penelope. Simon Landry Dessy plays Gaspard. Gaspard is the man Penelope is living with, her boyfriend. It's emphasized very strongly they are not married, and she wants no part of marriage. Along comes Saladin Dellers. He plays Edward. Edward is her ex, who she is still physically attracted to. And Penelope has no qualms or trepidations about sneaking out and seeing Edward for a little activity. And Gaspard is, you know, none the wiser in this thing. Not sure this is good. You know, in the opening scene, Perot displays her breasts in the opening segment because she is breastfeeding her new baby. But she suffers a nipple laceration, and apparently this is a very real thing. It's a thing that is actually frequent for new moms. They even have special shields that women can use to help heal this and correct the issue. But they use this condition to basically have Penelope run through the entire movie topless. Okay, that's pretty much the way it is. She has a habit of walking her baby at night. I don't know anyone who does this. I mean, there's no safety concerns here. There never is. And then when things happen, she scratches her head and wonders why. I told you about the lover's triangle, if you will, and she actually thinks that Edward may be the answer to her problems or her situations that she's not getting from Gaspard, but Edward makes it known quite quickly that he just wants her for the activity and isn't interested in any kind of relationship. Now, naturally, Penelope isn't happy until the very end of this movie, where we see her once again. She is pregnant. About 4 years has passed because she is now playing with her 4-year-old son and having just a grand old time with him. So we have a pregnant woman and her baby playing in a park. Is this Gaspard's son? Don't know. They never tell us. Did she marry Gaspard? Have no idea. Is she even involved in a family unit situation? We don't know. Whatever happened to Edward? It's never explained, because the message for this movie is that a woman finds happiness with her children and no man involved. This is a social justice paradigm, and it's promoted through the movie, although it's called horror. Now, the horror might be the ideology behind the think. No wonder the critics in the two-lettered cities just loved this one. Basically, it was a waste of time.
Avant, quand je voyais une femme avec un bébé, je voyais juste le beau petit bébé. Maintenant, je vois juste les mains.
Combien de temps elle était hospitalisée?
On est restés là-bas 5 semaines tous les deux. On dort pas beaucoup, on pleure tout le temps. J'ai comme l'impression qu'elle a peur. Faites-vous encore des cauchemars? Je t'ai réveillée 5 fois cette nuit pour t'aider. Toujours aux mêmes heures. Quand j'entre dans ta chambre, tu gueules.
Toutes les mères aiment leur enfant.
Je suis pas sûre. Il serait peut-être mieux de retourner à l'hôpital. Il serait peut-être plus en sécurité. Pas de temps.
Tu l'as laissé tout seul? T'es complètement irresponsable!
You think those two movies were bad? I still have more. When Outtakes with Rex Reel continues right after this. If you ever have the opportunity to visit Italy, you'll notice many fine customs. And one of the customs among the men is that they save Saturdays for shaving. Okay? So during the week, these guys will all be kind of scruffy, all right? And then on Saturday, they go to the barber and they get a nice professional shave. Well, Sam has done a really nice job in incorporating that custom at the House of Firuza Barber Shop. It's located at the corner of Drake Road and South Park Road. And right now, if you book a Saturday haircut, you can receive half off of any and all shaving services. Now, if you have yourself a nice beard, that'll include a nice trim up, a little beard oil and make it look good and what have you. If you're clean shaven, you can get a nice straight razor shave along with your haircut. This is a really good deal. Half off of all shaving services on Saturday only when you call for a haircut. Give them a buzz at 835-2860. You can style and profile. Welcome back to the show. You know, without a doubt, one of the worst films ever made is a movie called Soul's Chapel. I told you I had a plethora of them for you tonight. This one actually looks like a high school senior's final video project. It is a blend of horror and the old Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns, but it has no cohesive continuity. I'm at a loss of words to describe this movie. So let us peel back the veils of time and go back to the early Cretaceous period, and we'll let Rex Reel handle this one.
Starring Jack Young, who is a distant cousin of Clint Eastwood. The film concerns a drifter, Ray, who is making his way through the hills of old Kentucky when he encounters a strange entity who promises him gold if he returns 2 icons to him. The icons are black and white macrame dream catchers. Accepting the challenge, Ray finds himself in the middle of a terrible storm and seeking refuge in a church known as Soul's Chapel. Ray soon learns that everyone in the church is also seeking the gold, and the land around the church is cursed. Young not only stars, but he directs as well, and he does neither well. The film is choppy and inconsistent. Young may be a distant cousin of Clint Eastwood, but it's apparent he did not help this film in any way.
What do they say about this place? What have you heard?
You saw one of them, didn't you? On the way in. The Lady Crow Killer. Dark Witch.
There's something really wrong with this place.
This place isn't safe.
It's coming, and you're all going to die.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky.
Time to quit talking about bad movies and find out what's happening in the BizBuzz. Alrighty, let's get started right away, shall we? And let's check in with the streamers for this month and see what's going on. Peacock is bragging about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It is yet another teenage horror film from the Blumhouse warehouse of horror films. It's meant primarily for kiddies. There's no real juice in this one. You can watch it with a bag of popcorn and then pretty much forget about it. It doesn't come anywhere close to Nick Cage and Willy's Wonderland, although it's the same theme all over again. Paramount Plus is bragging about its movie Primate. This one has some tense moments, but if you remember back to Stephen King's Cujo, this is basically the same movie. Well, instead of a St. Bernard, you have a monkey. Okay, there it is. And second season of Monarch is now done with. This was really a major disappointment, I got to tell you, as probably one of the chief Godzilla fans in the world. The only thing worth watching was the story of Lee Shaw. That continues to be a good arc. The rest is just social justice hogwash. And even the monsters got into it in season 2, promoting single-parent families with strong, independent women monsters who are mothers. And those mothers are able to withstand both Kong and Godzilla. Give me a break with this absolute nonsense. And I'll tell you, the writers knew that they were really messing this up and catering to progressive hacks, so they teased and encouraged Godzilla fans to stay on for one more season, and they teased this by bringing Rodan back in the climax. The ploy should work because buzz on the interwebs has been keen. Maybe now it's time to really bring in some good writers, and they should probably call Japan.
There you are. I'll see you soon.
We're not done yet. I actually have 2 movies to tell you about that are worth watching. When Outtakes with Rick's Reel continues right after this. So you want to keep probably June 6th and 7th marked on your calendar. That is the day down at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center for this year's Three Rivers Comic-Con. I have told you before that I love going to this place. I really do. If you love comics, this is probably the best Comic-Con because it still holds comics as the main. It's not a PR for, movies or TV or things like that. It's definitely centered around and deals with comics. And I get most of my Christmas shopping done in the 2 days down there. It's an awful lot of fun. John, who usually comes on the show and tells us about it, will be doing that in the next few weeks. We'll do a special edition of Coffee and Chaos, our sister program, and have him talk about who's coming in. They do have some really big names and some neat things planned, especially the cosplay things. Those are always a lot of fun, too. That's the Three Rivers Comic-Con, June 6th and 7th at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. I hope to see you there. Welcome back to the show. We are fast running out of time, but I do want to tell you about two movies that are actually worth sitting down and watching. One of them is called From the Beyond: High Strangeness in the Bennington Triangle. This is another one of the many documentaries coming from Seth Breedlove and his production company, Small Town Monsters. I've covered a lot of his documentaries in the past. Anymore, they're the only ones really worth watching. And it's much better than his last endeavor, which he kind of slipped a little bit on. This is about an area in Vermont where 22 people have mysteriously disappeared. And to this date, only one of them has been found. They were found dead, but only one has been found. The other 21 are still missing. It makes for some very interesting watching. And I want to tell you about what's happening at the box office this week. The Sheep Detectives premieres. It's doing okay business. It harkens back to when films were cute. Remember that? We were inundated with cute films. Now they're nowhere near to be found because we have to have all this socialist indoctrination. But this goes back to the old days. No indoctrination here. Just a nice, cute, family-friendly little story. And it's a tale of a group of sheep who help solve the murder of their shepherd. It stars Hugh Jackman and Emma Thompson. There's nothing really exciting in this one, but there's no harm either. It's just a good, solid 90 minutes of entertainment.
We found George on the grass, and he's not moving.
What?
Lily, tell us what to do.
Our shepherd was murdered. And we shall solve the crime.
Thank you all.
Sheep can do things. In fact, we can do anything.
I want to bash it. I want to bash it so bad. Yeah!
What's with them?
That is all the time we have for this episode. I can tell you that there is a wave of new horror films coming out to try to counter the summer blockbusters. The independents are going for scares and bumps in the night. We'll talk about that on the next episode. And also the summer blockbusters are leaning toward the woke agenda, and it's not going over well in pre-publicity. We'll talk about that as well. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this Fiore guy's okay. I wish I could see more of him. You can. Coffee and Chaos is currently showing on BPTV and on the social webs, and so is In the Crease. There are 2 more shows you can add to your viewing list, and you will not be disappointed. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.